Welcome back, Shalloners, and welcome, Smilers. Oh yeah, today we're going to be talking about Miley Cyrus, who did a recent interview, like just yesterday or something, saying that she's sober. And she's been sober for, I think, 6 months because she wants to polish her craft. She wants to polish her craft. Is there anything more off-putting and gross than an actor or a musician who calls it their craft? My craft. What if I was like, I can't go out tonight, I'm working on my craft? I would... I'd have to kick my own ass. So gross. So we're going to talk about not just Miley's sort of flipped switch into sobriety, but how we can benefit. How can we leave behind a bad reputation? And we talked yesterday about reputation, given the rape allegations that came out against, I mean, just like every male celebrity you can think of. Justin Bieber, Cole Sprouse, KJ Apa, Ansel Elgort, we talked about when to stand up for yourself, when to not, and how to like combat bad gossip. But sometimes that gossip is already out there. And sometimes your reputation is what it is. But that doesn't mean it's unchangeable. That doesn't mean you have to be stuck living a label, carrying the mantle of your past, whether it was true or not, around with you forever. So using Miley as a shining example of what to do, which is not a sentence I'm used to saying, we're going to talk about how to reinvent yourself and get past a bad reputation. But first, just want to remind you guys to connect with me on Instagram at ShallonXL. Also, if you would like a video shout out, a pep talk for a friend, a pep talk for yourself, a birthday wish, find me on Cameo and join me on my brand new platform, InfStream. And I love InfStream because it's a members only site. It's $1 a month. But the good news is there's no ads and there's no restrictions on what we can talk about. So all the stuff we can't talk about here on YouTube, like my video yesterday about those assault allegations, got dinged by YouTube. And it's like, So head on over there and join me. Okay, let's talk Miley. So Miley did a podcast with Variety Magazine and talked about her biggest, like career moments, whatever, who cares? But she was saying that one of her what was I thinking moments in her career, which I guess is a question that they ask a lot of people, was when she had said in an interview, like back in her Hannah Montana days, anyone who smokes weed is a dummy. And she's like, really, Miley? Like, clearly, Miley is like the poster child of weed consumption. She loves weed. She talks about it all the time. She smokes it all the time. And we've talked about Miley here on this channel before. I like Miley. She is in, or was, now she's pulling out of it. But when the whole twerking on stage thing happened, she was in what I called the vagina phase. And it's the I have a vagina and everyone needs to know about it phase. And a lot of girls around her age, like 19, 20, 21, get into this phase. Christina Aguilera pioneered that phase, right? It's like, I'm dirty, chaps, vagina. Let's see, Bella Thorne, big, long-lasting vagina phase, which hopefully she's pulling out of. Bailey Madison randomly did this. Ariel Winter also. And of course, Miley. And it's not that every girl goes through it, but like the wild childs kind of do. Wild children. Where it's like, I'm awakening my sexuality and don't try to box me and mom and dad. And people are like, I just want to find this shirt in a size medium. I don't need to know like that you can roll your tongue like that. Please don't. It was just always so over the top, and it's cringy and embarrassing because older women, just like normal people are like, sweetie, we all have them. Okay. You don't need to tell everyone about it to this degree. It's okay. No, you don't need to hump Robin Thicke's leg. So I'm glad to see that Miley's sort of pulling out of it. Unfortunately, I believe it cost her relationship with Liam Hemsworth. What I've always heard about them, and we've done videos on their breakup too, is that he wanted a wife, not a stay-at-home, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen FLDS wife, just someone who wanted to be with him and someone who didn't need to be high all the time and lie about it and gaslight him, saying, it's like, what are you talking about? I'm not high. You're the one. You're high. We're all high here. And that's what she was doing. And that really, who could stay in a relationship with someone like that? Who could stay in a relationship with someone who makes promises to get sober and never does it? And maybe Miley's not really sober now. I think she jumped into that relationship with Cody Simpson ASAP. And Cody, I think, is just like, was in awe of her and was like, okay, he might be a bit of a mess too. Who knows? I just love him. But she says she's sober now. So let's go with that. Let's go with that as fact. Okay. Miley's got quite the hole to dig herself out of, reputation-wise, you know? And she is, I've hung out with her when she was on SNL. She is so talented. And that sounds obvious. It's like, well, she's a professional pop star. No. They're not all created equal. We can't assume that the talent Miley has is the talent Britney Spears has. Britney has a whole different skill set. It's not vocals. She's not a vocalist. She's a dancer. She's a performer. Miley isn't necessarily a performer, but she is a vocalist. The way like Pink is a vocalist, but she's also a performer, you know? So it's like there's all these Venn diagrams. So I've told you guys this before, but like because my friend used to be on SNL, and so I would go to so many of the shows, and we would stand like side stage or like right there when the musical guests would perform, and Taylor Swift's her mic was turned like all the way down, and her backup singers were turned all the way up. And that meant Taylor can't really sing, you know? And I love Taylor. I love her. But she's not like she's a let's sit in the living room and sing on this guitar. You know, that's when she sounds, I think, her best. Like big venues, even though SNL's not a big venue, it's like, I don't know that there's that wah in there, but she's a hell of a songwriter, so good for her. Miley had her backup singers were turned all the way down, and she was all the way up, and her voice was unbelievable. It was unreal. It was unreal. It was just like, and it's like she wasn't even really trying. She was like, rock and roll, like just belting it out. And she's so tiny. And it's like, how does this huge voice come out of this teeny little bird body? So I'm super in awe of her talent. And it was sad to me that she had made her whole persona this like drug twerker. Oh, I'm so wild, I'm crazy, That tongue. If I never had to see that tongue again. Because she was talented enough, she is, that I've always said she should just do an acoustic album where she just, her and a guitar, a cappella even, just nothing, just her voice. It would be so bomb. So hopefully she's moving out of that drug phase. But what about the rest of us, right? What about the rest of us who are like, okay, my vagina phase has ended, my drug phase has ended, or maybe I never even had those phases, and people just, I did one stupid thing or didn't even do it, and everyone latched onto that rumor and ruined my reputation. And now I'm like Party Kristen, I'm Drunk Jen, I'm Slutty Mackenzie, I'm Dumb Hannah, right? I'm Canceled Shallon. How do you move on and start over? Well, I say all the time, I'm a runner. I like to literally move. I mean, I shouldn't say that because I lived in New York City since I graduated college, and I only just now moved to Montana. But part of the reason I moved, it's like, I just wanted a fresh start, and I wanted to kind of reinvent myself in an emotional way. I'll do a story time on this about like more reasons why I moved, because as I get deeper into my life here, my motives are becoming more clear to myself that they perhaps were not clear to me at the time. You know, a lot of times we act and we don't know what's fueling that, or we think we know, and then we get into the aftermath and we're like, oh, I can see actually what that was. And it's been amazing. It's done exactly what I hoped it would. I feel like a purified version of myself, honestly. And so I'm a fan of switching it up, switch up your surroundings. But I know that that's not always possible. You're at that high school, you're in that town, you're at that college, and you're at that job. And it's like, well, why the fuck should I have to move? Why should I have to move? I didn't do anything wrong. Or even if I did, I've decided to change. One thing I've realized about living in a small town, and again, I'll do a whole story time, is how difficult it would be to change if you grew up in a small town. Because like my friends here, you know, everyone knows everyone. It's a small town. They grew up with people, and it's like, oh yeah, like Sarah shoplifted from Walmart in 10th grade. I'm like, okay, well, she's the top real estate agent in the county now, so I think she's moved on from that. Maybe everyone else could too. You know, like I, as an outsider, I see things in such a neutral way that I'm like, why are you even thinking about that? That's so weird. We have like a burn book of everything people did in middle school? What? But that's a small town. In New York City, oh my God, reinventing yourself is much easier. The eye of the city doesn't rest on one thing for too long, and you can be preppy one day, goth the next, emo, whatever. And you could just switch it up and have totally different groups of people that don't know each other, that are never going to run into each other. And it's like you can live so many different lives at the same time. And that's what I want. It's like I want to live 10 different lives at once, you know? So that's why I loved New York. And like I said, I'm going to do story times on making it in New York and what life is like there and what you need to know if you're going to move and make it. But let's say that you can't just pick up and leave. Let's say that you are where you are by logistical issues or just because, yeah, you shouldn't fucking have to leave. Okay. There's two schools of thought when it comes to reinvention. Do you announce it or do you not? Right? On one hand, I think it's good to announce it. It's like, guys, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm over that phase of my life. I'm not going to do it. I think that that works really well if there's a thing, like a logistical, physical thing you're going to do differently. Guys, I'm going keto. Guys, I'm going back to school. I'm quitting this job. I'm breaking up with this boyfriend. I'm not going to date finance guys anymore. You know, but then you box yourself in. And the last thing you want to do is look like a liar or a failure or just have scrutiny on yourself. I did a video last year during Pride Month about how I'm bisexual, but I do not enjoy labels. Like, I don't call myself queer. I don't love the idea of coming out day in high schools because it puts a label on you that then you feel boxed into. And it's like, you should be able to just move and grow. And it's like, oh, I liked girls then and I don't now, and I like boys then. I try to avoid making sweeping declarations in my life. It's like, I'm doing this and this is who I am, because then we think that that's freedom, right? And it's actually the opposite. It's kind of self-oppression. It's like, well, fuck, I said I was goth and now I just really want to listen to Taylor Swift and I can't because everyone's going to make fun of me, you know? And then you feel this pressure and then your reinvention gets warped and stalled. So think long and hard about the decisions, about the declarations. The pro of making a declaration is now you have accountability. If you say, hey guys, I'm going to give up drinking. I'm not going to drink. Okay. Since your group of girls, we're going to hold you to that. Ugh. Maybe you don't want that, but maybe you need it. Want and need are not always the same thing. So I think if your switch is going to be the absence of something bad, that you were doing something bad, I'm not going to smoke cigarettes anymore. I'm not going to vape. I'm not going to do drugs. I'm not going to drink. I would declare that. I think that's very healthy. You need people to help you switch bad habits and turn them into good habits. And that's point number 2. Bad habits, good habits. We are creatures of habit. And we like routine because routine tells us that something is stable. And if something is stable, we in our little caveman mind feel like we're able to survive. Okay. I know what time I'm eating. I know where I'm laying my head tonight. I know who my friends are. We have everything sorted out and we want that order in order to feel like we are moving through life in a survivable kind of way, and then we can turn our attention to higher pursuits like mating, but you can't mate if you don't know your logistical situations. Where was I going with this? Oh, bad habits. So that means we are prone to having habits. We want habits. And if we don't purposefully cultivate good habits, well, fuck, we'll fill it in with bad ones, right? I don't know. I just order a latte every morning. I get a $6 latte every single morning. Okay, well, is that working well for your waistline and your pocketbook? Probably not, I went into this latte hole. I don't even like coffee. I just wanted to be part of the coffee group. You know what I mean? How pathetic. And I gained quite a bit of weight because I was drinking whole milk latte. Don't even get me started. And it wasn't even fun weight. It's time for my nightly trip to Cheesecake Factory just to order the desserts. So you have to work on switching bad habits to good habits. And this is effective if you are doing something like not drinking, doing drugs, vaping, whatever. Write your schedule out and figure out, when did you engage in these poor behaviors? Was it right after you got off work? Was it right when you woke up in the morning? And think of something healthy you could incorporate into that. This commercial is so old, but it was like an anti-smoking commercial. And it was, instead of people sitting around outside with cigarettes, they had bubbles, and they're blowing bubbles. And it became kind of viral and people started doing that. And smokers were actually, they meant that as a joke, but that legitimately helps because it's the same physical motion. And I have been trying to not drink as much, and I don't, I really don't drink much at all, but there was a point where I was coming home every night. I was so stressed from my office job and I was pouring myself a glass of wine. And I have replaced that with soda water because it's psh, it's that sound. I'm doing something intentional. I put it in a wine glass with ice cubes. I put a little wedge in there and I do exactly what I would have done just without alcohol. And I'm actually, it wasn't the alcohol I liked. It was the habit. It was the ritual and the routine, right? We're ritualistic people. That's why Catholicism flourished. It's very ritualistic. I love it. That's why I love Catholicism. And I'm sort of like a observer, like an interested observer, like a peeping Tom in terms of Catholicism. I love the rituals, but because it makes us feel safe, it makes us feel known. So try doing that. So that's stuff you're going to do on your end, not in public. That's just in private. But what about in public? Maybe your issue isn't that you drank too much or did drugs. Maybe it's just that you had a bad reputation. Maybe you fucked two guys after the football game and everyone knew about it and they called you finger cuffs. There was a girl in my college really did that. Finger cuffs. And that's going to follow you forever. The way you defeat a bad reputation is simply to live in contrary of what other people are saying about you. That's what it is. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. And when we are in a time of crisis, either we have just heard this rumor and this is going around, we want to do something big to counteract it. And we talked about that yesterday in the video about when you should step up and say something, when you shouldn't. But also when you've made the switch, you're like, I don't want to live like that anymore. I'm not the party girl. I'm not the dumb girl. I'm not the whatever. You also want to do some big like rebrand, it works for companies, but it doesn't always work for people. It can. And here's how it can in a positive way. You got to slash and burn. If you don't want to be the druggie girl anymore, you have to stop hanging out with the druggies. You can't dress like the druggies. You can't have the same daily schedule as the druggies. You're going to have to make a lot of logistical changes, which on one hand seems unfair or it seems mean. How could I cut these people out? Well, are they good for you? It sounds very simple and obtuse, but are the people in your life good for you? Do they make you better or do they make you worse? It really is just that clear cut. And it's the Marie Kondo method of socialization and stuff. It's like, I release you with love. I appreciate our good times. Now you must go. You must get the fuck out of my house. Get out of my house. I'm going to put you in a bag by the side of the road. Right? I release you with love. I've had to do that with friends when I left behind my sort of emo days, which were also my drug days. And I'll talk about that on InfoStream. I had to release a lot of people with love. It's like, I'm not in this place anymore. And I felt bad because it's like, you don't want to cut off people who simply remind you of a version of yourself you didn't like, because we have been cut off like that, right? Like we've had friends who, and this is how it happens. They get married, they have a boyfriend, and suddenly it's like, who the fuck are you, Shallon? You're my party friend, and my boyfriend doesn't like you. You're a bad reminder of my wild days. And it's like, what did I do? Like, first of all, I didn't have a gun to your head when you were doing blow in the bathroom at Tao. Like, give me a break. And also like, okay, maybe there's other sides to me than that, but you just never bothered to explore them and you're just throwing me out because you don't want to think about your past and make peace with it. So we can't do that to other people, right? I'm not saying throw everyone out and start and like go scorched earth on everyone in your life and everything that you are. No. But go through each individual person. It's like, good for me or bad for me. And level with them. Be like, you know what? I'm not really into this scene anymore. I kind of want to be doing other things. I want to be working on my book. I want to be studying for law school, blah, blah, blah. I want to be doing CrossFit, see what they say. Because the people who hate your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none at all. And I had to go through that with my emo friends. I was like, you know what? I can't stay out like this. I can't do stuff like that. And I was surprised at how many of my girlfriends were like, dude, me too. I'm so on the same page. Like, it was fun, but I'm just like, I kind of want to just stay home, make some soup, learn how to work my Instapot. I was like, yeah. But then other people were like, oh, wow, okay, thought you were a real one. Wow. It was just like this crazy reaction. And I'm like, you are not here for the right reasons. Sound like a Bachelor contestant. But seriously, and that allowed me to weed people out. And the people who I leveled with and were cool with it, they're still my best friends. One was at my wedding, And the people who weren't, it's like, smell you later, dude. I don't know what to tell you. But I had to get that clarity. I had to get those data points. So don't be afraid to speak your mind and let the chips fall where they may. If it's fragile, let it break. So after you've done some Marie Kondoing of people, Again, it's like the habits. You got to import new things. You got to import new people, new healthy people. I always want friends who I admire. And like, I don't ever want to be a Regina George. It's like, this is my clique. It's like, no, I want to be kind of on the outskirts of the clique. No, I mean, not outskirts, but like, I want to be around women who are like bad bitches and level me up and inspire me. And like my group of friends here, like they are just crazy successful women, and they just do it all. It's wild. Like, I really admire them and look up to them so much. It's amazing. And that's what I need to be my best. I need to be around people who are also striving to be their best, or whose values simply align with my new values. Or if you're trying to leave a bad reputation, people who don't know anything about you. And if they do, they don't care. Successful people don't care about gossip. They might listen to it. Oh, she fucked 2 guys after a football game. But they live a life of discernment. They live a life of personal evaluation. Oh, well, she fucked 2 guys after, well, she's a slut. Yeah, that's right. You know what that is? That's a lower class mentality. That's a follower beta mentality. And that's not what we are. And I don't mean class like socioeconomically. I mean like beta alpha mentality. And successful women, they go their own way. They're used to doing things on their own. They're used to making up their own mind. They're used to going out on limbs and saying, no, that's not how I feel about that. They're leaders. And they're not just leaders. They're not just pack leaders. They're pack builders. Exactly. So, okay, Cheryl fucked 2 guys after the football game. I like her. She's fun. She listens, she's a good listener. She's supportive. She's smart. Who cares? I don't care. Do you care, Kristen? No, I don't care. Whatever. That's the people you want to be around. People who are doing things. And there is a direct correlation between people who are non-judgmental and like, you know what, hey, like live and let live, whatever, and people who are going after their own goals. People who are setting goals and working towards them, whether it's getting a promotion at McDonald's, running a marathon, getting accepted to business school, whatever it is. They've got their own shit going on. So they're not getting caught up in the gossip mill. That's why gossip thrives in a small town. There's not a lot to do. It's like, well, we're just sitting on the porch watching the grass grow, talking about who's fucking at their Tupperware parties. That's like what we think of as small town mentality. You need to have a big town mentality. You need to have a big dreams mentality. And that's how you're going to find other people who align like that. And no, it's not going to be easy to walk into a new place and be like, well, this is my reputation. Do you think I don't understand that? You are but a Google search away from people inventing very terrible things, It's just crazy. And it's like, you know what? If people are going to believe it, people are going to believe it. Smell you later. And if people are going to be like riding with me, like rocking with me, they're not going to care. It's going to be like, we've all had people say weird things about us. Whatevs. Who among us has not been the victim of a weird rumor, a bad reputation, a false accusation, or lies? Jealousy, slander, all of this stuff. We all have. And if you are around people who don't get that, you are around the wrong people. But who wants to be around nobody? And sometimes that does feel like the choice, right? It's like, okay, well, if I avoid everyone who listened to gossip, I would have no one at my school to hang out with. I understand. Maybe you're not going to be hanging out with people at your school. Maybe you're not going to be friends with your coworkers. Maybe you're going to hate your neighbors, okay? That means you are going to have to work extra hard to make an extra group of friends outside of whatever population has their mind made up about you and import those people into your life. But that's work and it's unfair. I know. Oh, I know. It is so unfair. It is so unfair. I completely agree. But life isn't fair. It's just not. And when we entrench ourselves into that, it's not fair. Who are we hurting? We're really only hurting ourselves, and that's doubly unfair. I know. You know what is fair? Giving ourselves the gift of a life worth living, of an authentic, rich, passionate, curious, supported, loved, fun, dope, bomb, Instagram-worthy life. That's what's fair. And when we get fixated on what's not fair, we don't get better, we get bitter. And then all of the things that people had said about us just compound. We are now the abusers in our own life. It's not these other people talking shit. They might be, but they're only doing that, I don't know, 2 minutes a week when you really aggregate it out. We are the ones making our lives worse by being bitter, by getting entrenched in this. It's not fair, this victim narrative, by refusing to look at ways to make a situation better or to move on from it, by continuing negative tape loops. And this is the last point. You got to stop those tape loops. Like I said, the people who talk shit about you, they maybe only do it for a few minutes, maybe a few hours. And then we pick up where they left off. Oh, let me just help you out with that. Let me just put that on. Let me just wrap myself in that cloak of fuckery and sail on into the rest of my life, continuing what you said. No, to be continued. Don't worry, I'll continue it. I am a slut. Why would any guy like me? I'm a slut. I fucked 4 guys after a football game. So why can't I fuck this guy on a first date? This is just what I do. I'm Jessica the slut. I'm never going to get that promotion. Look, I bungled that senior project. I mean, why would I ever volunteer to do that project at work? Everyone laughed at me when I gave that speech senior year. We're the ones doing it. Very rarely are other people actually saying these things still and continuously. But we live the label. And this is a psychological thing, living the label. This is a phrase where, especially when you're young, you get stamped with slut, dummy, whatever. And you're like, okay, this is me. And I did that for sure. And I'll talk about that in the InfStream video because it was really intense and it was really hard to break. So I'll go into how I broke that, in conjunction with the drug thing and how, it really is a step-by-step thing. Like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a crock pot, not a microwave. It is a series of small decisions that add up to big changes. No, if I don't want to be seen as the slutty girl, you know what? I'm not going to go out for drinks with a guy. We'll go out for coffee. We'll go out for lunch. We'll go on a hike. We're not going to a party. We're not meeting up at 10 p.m. We're not doing that. You have to change your self-perception before the perception that other people have of you is going to shift as well. Because people are going to respond to what you're putting out. If you're like, no, I'm not like that. Oh, fuck, okay. But if you're like, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. Who are you trying to fool? Well, I mean, everybody, but it's not working, So when you get right with yourself and you're like, no. I'm not that person. I'm this person. You know how I know that? Look at all these strong women in my life. Look at all these things I'm pursuing. You want to say I'm a party girl? That's funny. I haven't gone out in the last 5 days. And when I do, I have 1 drink. So exactly. So who's the idiot now? Me or you, Gossiping Betty? Like we said in the Cole and Justin accusations video yesterday, very often you just need to give people enough rope to hang themselves. People are going to keep talking shit about you. And if you keep living contrary to what they're saying, they're going to look like the idiot, not you. They're going to look crazy. And then they're going to be the boy who cried wolf. And if you actually do something, if you decide to fuck 6 guys after a football game, no one's going to believe this person because they're like, okay, we see how she is. She's not like that. Way to go. And they're just going to implode, right? So stay the course, replace bad habits with good habits. And most importantly, change the perception you have of yourself if you want other people's perception to change as well. I want to know your stories and tales of how you escaped a bad reputation. Did you move? Did you start your life completely over in a different city, different school, different haircut, new bangs? Or did you just keep on keeping on, marathon it, and just slowly let people's perceptions change? And if they didn't, fuck them. I want to know. I know you guys can help each other because I know you guys are going through a lot of this stuff. Share in the comment section. Like I said, head over to InStream to watch my video on